go. Hello all and welcome to the AI Cloud and Modern Workplace Conference 2024. We are delighted to have you here and hope you enjoy this online event. We have a very exciting agenda for all these 3 days with speakers from different background and perspectives who will share their insights and experience on how AI and cloud is transforming the way we work and our life. But before we dive into the session, we have a very special guest who will present about how to running the HTTP-based application in Azure Platform as a Service, Azure App Service Edition. I don't want to say the description of this presentation because I'm totally sure that our very, very special guest will cover these will describe you what he will present. But I want to say that we are very lucky because we have with us today a person that I met here many years ago, and he empowered me to join the MVP community because I have to say when I met him in the first time, I told myself you have to be like this person. He's an excellent professional with many years of experience and contribution to the community. He is global speaker. Let me share with you that every time that we have a global conference, I saw in the speakers that he is one of them. He's mastermind in the field of Microsoft Azure, and many years he's MVP. He's Microsoft certified trainer, and I have to say that every year he got every award that Microsoft gives to each one. It is a great honor and pleasure for us to present Tiago Costa, Microsoft certified trainer, cloud architect and advisor, content creator and internal speaker. Tiago, I would like to express our immense appreciation for your presence here. I know that you are super busy, but every time that I ask you, you are here to support us, and you are always willing to contribute, to give your knowledge, to share your knowledge with the audience. I don't want to keep the audience. The stage is yours. It is a pleasure for us to have you with us today.
Okay, so thank you so much. And by the way, a big Kalispera for everyone. I have a big passion for Greece, and I'm not saying this because we were just here today, but I usually say Greece is my second favorite country in the world. Being first my own country, sorry, I have to do that. You have to excuse me on that when I think I'm okay. But it's definitely that because the culture is super similar to the Portuguese one. Okay. And even the other day, I had some Greek friends here in Portugal, and we went for food, drinks, the same stuff that we all like. And they were like, "Oh, this is similar to Greek food." I was like, "Yeah, it is. It is. It is the tastes, okay, the type of ingredients, and also the type of weather, and so that kind of make the Portuguese and the Greeks so similar." And that's great because every time I'm in Greece, by the way, everyone starts to talk with me in Greek like pretty quickly, even in the tourist areas, because I'm always like, "No, I'm not Greek." Okay, so sorry. I know I look like, but I'm not. So, but thank you so much for that. It's very good. But yeah, so but let's get back here. And we are here today to deliver a session about how to run HTTP-based applications. That's kind of the idea. Web apps, APIs, and of course, using a PaaS approach, so platform as a service. And of course, we could do this with many different services in Azure. And of course, I bring you one here today, which is the Azure App Service, which is probably one of my favorite services that we have. But even before we start our session, I really want to start with, just kind of a riddle here, okay, for everyone, which is basically this one here. If, a good coffee in the morning doesn't wake you up anymore, and so if this doesn't work for you, as an Azure professional, developer, architect, cloud engineer, whatever, try to do this. Try to delete a production resource group. Because if this doesn't work, doesn't wake you up in the morning, I'm sure you have a big problem. Okay? Because this definitely should wake you up. So, but let's move on. Okay? What is the challenge that I got, a few years ago? I got a challenge from a customer. The customer challenge was pretty okay, which is this. Look, Tiago, we have, this application. This application is what we call the global customer experience application. It's like, where customers go, they register their products, they get updates on the products, they get points, there's some gamifications behind the scenes, there's a bunch of stuff regarding to improve the experience that they have as a customer with their company products. And, we used to be an European company and everything was fine. We have our app hosted in our own data center, and this always worked okay-ish. But then we basically went to the United States. So America, States and Canada. And we kind of had, a few good results there. Europe is still bigger, but, North America is considerable, a big chunk of our business. And, people that were from the US, they started to complain a little bit about the app, but it's still okay. And then we expanded the Asian region. So APAC, basically, Asia, Pacific, etc. And we explode. So the APAC region now corresponds to, I think it's like 50-ish% of all their customers. So more than 50, more than half is over there. And let's just say half, so that's just easier for my brain today. Half Asia, 25% Europe, 25% United States. So they have the European customers okay with the site, but they're struggling with people that live in Asia. The Asian, customers are complaining about, timeouts that sometimes it happens. So they have latency issues, basically. So they want to build something that is low maintenance. It's a solution that can be scalable. And of course, we want fast response times all across the world. So, they had an app built in .NET, whatever, doesn't matter today. And that was kind of, a monolithical application. After this, we also improved a little bit the architecture of the app, but for now, we didn't have that chance yet with this. So I said, well, let's go with the app service, because with the app service, Mr. Customer, what you can do is you can host HTTP-based applications like a web app, a REST API, which is exactly, what you have here. Is fully managed. So you kind of ticks the box on that low maintenance that, you want. You can grow up to 100 instances, which for the numbers that you're telling me, you never will reach that, not even near 100 instances. And yeah, we have .NET, but if someday you decided to put Node, Python, Java, look, whatever, we also support that. And we also support multi-operating systems. So Windows, Linux. So if you go on .NET, you have the choice. If you go, for example, on PHP, well, PHP is not supported in Windows anymore in the app service, okay? not in Windows, just Windows on the app service, okay? So in that case, yeah, you needed to go to a Linux instance. But to be honest, low maintenance, fully managed, even if you're not, a Linux administrator, so you don't have that capabilities, no problem, because you can still work it out. There's not a big difference on that. So we need to select a plan. So there's in Azure, there's like when you have a web application running on the app service, there's always two Azure resources that you need to have. One is the web app, of course, but that web app needs to be associated with an app service plan. So basically what we have here today. And so this app service plan that we have here, in a very simplistic way, it's what defines your compute and also the features that you're going to have on this, okay? Then of course you can have apps in the same service plan, multiple apps. So I can have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 applications in the same app service plan. Like you have multiple applications running on your computer right now, on your mobile phone or whatever, right? It's kind of the same thing. What happens is they will share the same compute. So if you have a limit, you're going to have a certain compute. It's always limited, bigger or not, it's always limited. That is the compute that you're going to have. If you have 2 apps running there, they're going to fight for the resources. If you have 20 apps, maybe you can start struggling. I'm saying maybe because I don't know what is the demand that those 20 apps will have. They might still work fine, so it depends a lot on the demand that we're going to have for those applications, okay? And of course, look, if you need, you can always create more app service plans, and you can have multiple app service plans in multiple subscriptions, okay? In the same subscription or even in multiple subscriptions, look, it's totally up to you. So if we say this box is our app service plan, what I'm saying is I can have a web app, so I'll create a web application, and I can create another web application in the same app service plan. So now they are sharing this, and I can even have more web applications. There's no limit on this. Talking about what types of plans, Tiago, there are. Well, there's the shared plans. So those shared plans, we have 2. One called free, the other one is called shared. The free and the shared, they are going to run in shared hardware. So that means there's a VM somewhere where my app is running, and it could be running side by side with yours because it's a shared compute plan, okay? The free is free, doesn't come with a charge. The shared in euros costs, I think, 9, 10 euros, something around this, because prices always depend on the region, from where you are. So there's a lot of conversation around this, but let's just say in average, that should be the price. And you have limitations in the compute minutes that you can run on this, and also on features. The free doesn't come with only the basic features on this, okay? The shared already allows you to have a custom domain. So you can have mycompany.com, okay? So that's nice. But what about dedicated plans? So there's a bunch of dedicated plans, basic, standard, and premium. And look, I'm not going to bother you guys today with like all the features, etc. Okay, they are here. You can get the slides after this, okay? But basically, yes, custom domains, SSL, you can have multiple instances, all that, but mostly important, different from the other shared plans, is this is a dedicated plan. So there's an instance, which AKA it's a VM behind the scenes. That virtual machine will have a certain compute capacity, like X CPUs, Y amount of RAM. It's all yours. So all the web apps that you're running there, it's only your web apps that are fighting for those resources. So you're not going to have my applications also running in the same, compute. No, it's only for you. And of course, look, for security compliance, usually you really need to go this route. but also because just purely on, performance, I really don't want someone else be running my stuff on this. There's the premium plan, which to be honest is kind of my favorite, usually the one that I mostly use. It does a lot of things. One of the things that I like on this is the option to have up to 50 backups a day, 20 deployment slots. Okay, and it's quite dynamic. Also, the number of options in terms of CPUs and RAM, and it's the one that uses the most modern virtual machine. So again, the more modern hardware, like the more modern CPUs and such. When the basic and the standard, not so much. There's also an isolated plan. Pretty quickly, you can go up to 100 instances, but most people will select this because they want to have VNet isolation. So with this, I can say, hey, this web application doesn't come with a public endpoint. It's a private endpoint, and only within this virtual network is that I can access to this. And then, of course, you can tell, oh, what if you have peering with another one? Yeah, of course, it will work. VPN with on-prem, yeah, will work. But from the internet, you can never get access to this because you don't even have an endpoint in the first place to try to access to this. So that's like, wow, pretty cool stuff, right? So what do we have more? Web apps. So we create a web application in that app service plan, and of course, then we can integrate this with Visual Studio Code. We'll look with DevOps, with Visual Studio. I'm saying Azure DevOps, sorry, with GitHub, with GitLab. Look, there's plenty of options in terms of integrations with this, and there's tons of options. But look, let's do a demo, okay? And in this demo, look, what I want to do now, and let me drag this in here. I have too many windows today. Okay, there you go. So let's open the Azure portal here, and let's put the Azure portal a little bit bigger. We don't need this. Yeah, this is my test environment. It is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a resource, okay? And I'm just going to say, hey, I want a web application. And I'm just select here web application, create web application. Now I need to select one of my subscriptions. I'll go for the AZ Contoso training. And let me create here AZ Gris so that I know what I have here. And let's just say AZ Gris demo. Okay, so it seems to be all right, seems to be available. And now I can select, hey, I want to deploy code. You can also deploy a Docker container if you want it. But I'll go with code, and I can select here what framework I want to use. I'll go with .NET 8, and I'll go with Windows, okay, as my operating system. And I'm also selecting West Europe as a region. I'm just selecting West Europe, to be honest with you, because, this is to solve the European, customers. So that the European customers are okay with this. West Europe, by the way, is Amsterdam, so Netherlands. So that's what we have here. And then we have this part here, which is basically, hey, what is your pricing plan? And look, I have a Windows plan, I have this, and this is my pricing plan, okay? So a standard S1, which is 1 CPU, 175 gigs of RAM. And you're like, I want another one. So you click here, and there's like the most popular plans here, and you could just select one. Or you could select that link that was there, like explore pricing plans, and you can see them all. And in here, you can see, oh, there's the free, the shared that you talked about, Thiago. There's the basic, the standard, the premium. And the premium, there's premium V2, there's premium V3. Look, I'm not going to today to talk about all the details, etc. And also there's the isolated ones. In here, they just put the most popular options. But of course, if you go down, you have here, some are categorized as dev and test, others are more categorized as production ones. It doesn't mean that you cannot use those for production scenarios. it means that it's not recommended, okay? That's just that, okay? So with this, I'll go and I like this P1 V3. So I like this. I can see all the specs over there, etc. There you go. Then there's a bunch of tabs here. You can attach a database. You can attach a deployment like, hey, I want you to grow and, you know, grab some stuff from a repository. You know, I can even do this so that you can see this. So let me select here my organization, and, you know, I can even select, I have too many. Yeah, it's Azure Docs, but what it is. Well, maybe we are not going to do this. Let me just see here. Yeah, because I forgot. I think it says learn, because it was something that I did for Microsoft. No. Well, maybe .NET. Yeah, .NET Docs Yellow World. I think it's this one here. You can select, you know, the branch in your Git repository. In my case, I only have the master. In this case, and I'll look, hey, I'm good with this. Great stuff. Okay. You can even still set up networking, monitoring. Monitoring, I'll say no, just because, and I want just to start to create this. So I'm just saying no to monitoring, just because I don't want this to create one more resource. It will be the application insights resource, but in the real world, you probably want to have that, okay? So because that's pretty cool to have, and you should have that. But in here, look, for demo purposes, I just don't want to lose time creating that, okay? So with this, we should have a web application in like less than, to be honest, like 30, 40 seconds. So that's pretty cool. And by the way, all my demos are live. I don't have anything ready. I don't like to have stuff ready, only if you really, really need, okay? Cool, there you go. So let's go to our resource. This is our web application. You click browse, for example, now, and you say, oh, yeah, well, there's nothing there. That's just the landing page. Yes, it is, because if we go to the deployment center here under, so you have deployment section and then deployment center option. And if you select this one here, what you're going to see here is that, hey, my deployment, in this case here, it's currently in progress, okay? Usually it's not that quick, to be honest. So usually what happens is that, you know, because this uses GitHub Actions, by the way, for people that know what it is, and they need to start running, they need to find, you know, an available host to run the action, which is a fancy name to say a VM in the cloud somewhere on GitHub, to run this. And then, you know, actually this will run, and, you know, eventually my application will be updated with a very basic application, just saying Yellow World. Okay, it's a pretty basic application that I have there just to test the waters, okay? But basically that's it. Now, look, if we go back in here to our presentation, so this is currently what we have. We have a web application in Europe. Of course, in this case, and I don't have time today to do that, but maybe I also wanted to have another one in East US and even another one in Asia. But now the problem is that I will have, imagine just those two as an example. I have a customer, and that customer now, you know, where does he go? Because I have an endpoint for the one in Europe, and I will have an endpoint for the other one in the US. So it's like a little bit confused. Where should I go? There? Okay, there? You know, it just doesn't know, right? It's just a little bit confusing what to do with this. So we have to place options on this, okay? And the way that we need to put options on this is to do what? Is to attach something, you know, in the front of that, like front door. But we'll get to that in just a moment, okay? So before that, I also want to talk about more stuff on the app service, because today we're more focusing on the app service, which is about configurations. And look, configurations, I could be here talking about and showing you 200,000 slides about this. It's great. I can have application connection strings on the fly on my app. I can do custom domains, SSL, TLS certificates. I can do integrations with Azure Key Vault, and that's a pretty cool one, okay? But before that, I just do that. I'll just do a demo, which is configuring custom domains into this. And I'm also showing, the other stuff and where you can also find more information, about the other stuff. So let's go back here, to our slide. So this seems that has been, successful. So let's just refresh this and see. This is what we have here, yellow world. And yeah, I have some stuff here when I teach this. So this is probably, I forgot about this. This is probably from an AZ 104 that I taught the other day. But we have this in here. It's live. And if you go to this amazing, web application, you will see this. But like I was saying here, in my demo, right? I was just saying I want to add a custom domain so that this domain is not being used. I want to use my own domain. So for that, so let me open here and let's just put it like this. I have a domain, okay, which is called azcontoso.com. I actually own the domain. You can even see here, it's an app service domain that I have. So I bought it, I pay for it, that I use for my demos. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is go back to the other slide in here. Under settings, there's this option that says custom domains. This is what I'm just going to select. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a custom domain here. So I have this little option here, and I just need to type my domain. There's like some options on this. I could just say, hey, I have this as an app service domain, which I have. And I could do this in a very, very easy way, but I want to do this the harder way so that you can see how a joke this is to set up. So I'll just say other domain services, and I'll add this later. And I'm just putting, gr.azcontoso.com. I'm putting this like this way. Most of you already have a domain somewhere else, not in Azure. Let's be honest. You can buy domains in Azure, but if you already have your company, you already have your domain, you already have it somewhere. Okay, so usually most people will use this as I am doing it now. So what he says is, in order for me to trust that you really own that domain, you need to add those two, DNS records in your DNS zone for your domain. So go there and create a CNAME with a host gr with that value over there. Let's copy the value. Let's go in here. Let's create a record. Let's just say gr was a CNAME, and I'll just put this. And then let's add another record set. That this case, this is going to be a text. And this is the one that I want. And I'm just going to do this, copying that value over there, putting in here, press OK. Now that this is done, I can go back here and I can hit this validate on the bottom, and green. Green is always good here, okay? So you can add the custom domain. That's it. You just added a custom domain. It's incredible how easy actually it is just to, to add a domain into this. So it's like, yeah, pretty cool, what we can do with this. But now you might say, hey, yeah, but it's complaining about, you said green is good and just red is not. So yeah, it's not, it's complaining that I can't do HTTPS on this because I don't have a TLS certificate for this. Sad face. Well, but let's just put an happy face because I have one. So I can actually add a binding here, and I can say, you know what? I have an app service certificate on this, which is this one here, and I can press add. This is one that I pay for, that I have, but there was the option which was create an Azure App Service certificate. You can create certificates for free, okay, in your Azure App Services. So, and even if you ask me, hey, Tiago, but how do I do this? By the way, not on purpose, but the other day I just wrote an article. And if you go to my website, which is tiagocosta.com, I just have an article here. It's like, see, the 13th of Feb. This is a very recent one. Unlocking free TLS certificates on your Azure Web Service. And I have here, just step by step how you can easily do that. So if you want, just go there, find it out. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this now, and I'm just going to use my custom domain, and there you go. Okay, we're live on this custom domain, gr.azcontoso.com, and ta-da! We have things in here. So this is how we can set up easily a custom domain on this. This is like amazing, how easy it is to actually set up something like this, okay? So that's an example of a custom domain. There's also, going back here, one of the things that I like, which is this integration with Azure Key Vault. Because, sometimes what happens is people go here on the configuration and, you can just create here a new application setting. Like, I don't know, like, let's just put like search radius, okay? And people just put in here like 10,000, okay? And yeah, good, look, this is here, okay, it's fine. I could also add here a connection, a connection string, but then, stuff is here, right? It's visual, it's here. So security-wise, it's probably not the best. Also because, let's imagine you need an API. Let's give you here a very, very common example that I have this. I have an API key to access, a third-party API somewhere. Look, doesn't matter where it is now. And then, just people just put here the API key, something like this, right? And imagine this API key is being used in several different applications. If someone refreshes that API key and say, hey, Tiago, starting this day, you're going to have to replace everything with this other key. I need to go one by one to replace it. And we all know what happens. You're always going to forget something. There's always somewhere that, people were using that and no one told you that they were using that. Look, there's always stuff like this that happens in all companies in the world. So what's going to happen is you can put that in Key Vault. And then in here, okay, let's just tweak this one here. API key. In here, instead of doing that, you're just going to do @Microsoft.keyvault, and then secret URI equals to HTTPS azcontoso, for example, .vault.azure.com. And then you put secrets because you're storing that API there as a secret, and you just do like this. Okay, and this will not look. I'll save this. This will not work because I don't have that secret called API key, and I also needed to configure the authorization. But I just wanted you to know that this is now showing up here as Key Vault reference. That's the name of this technology. So if you want to know more about this, just search about Key Vault reference. And there's this amazing article on Learn. It's the first that you find that actually explains, okay, step by step, how to set up all this, etc. Pretty cool, just pretty cool stuff that we can have on this, okay? So, but let's see here more stuff. So we're doing here the demo. I also need to talk a little bit about other stuff, which is like scaling, okay? Because our customer was pretty picky saying, hey, Tiago, sometimes we have peaks on the demand, because we sell our products also through the websites, which is this website also has like a e-commerce store where people can buy,